And now we'll have our question of the week. We've talked about all four quarters. I don't think we've mentioned the four top seeds. Joe Cullen, number 1, Gerwin Price, number 2, Jose de Sousa, number 3, and Devin Peterson, number 4. Which of those top 4 seeds do you think will go the furthest in the European Championship this week?
Well, just looking at the poll at the minute on Twitter, and we've still got a few days for it to run before the tournament starts, but a lot of you going with Gerwin Price, 70% of you going with him. Joe Cullen, the top seed, getting 12%, Jose de Sousa getting 10%, Devin Peterson getting 8%. So I think a lot of that is based on the current rankings. Gerwin Price only recently gone up to number 2, and the other 3 players, yes, you've got Joe Cullen now back in the top 16 after that win at the weekend, but the other 2 players just underneath that top 32, so maybe haven't quite gone as the TV events as we've seen the likes of Gerwin Price and Joe Cullen go in the past. So it'd probably be an easier one to go with Gerwin, given that the form that we've seen him this year. He's making a strong case to be Player of the Year. Still a lot of events to come, but he's continued to improve. But as I mentioned in a previous answer, he is, for me personally, in the toughest quarter of the draw, and for that reason, I'm going to go against the majority of our listeners on the poll at the moment. I'm going to go with someone else. A hard one to pick between those 3 players. Yes, it could be Joe Cullen. I think he's out of those 4 players in that little section of the draw. I think at the minute he'll be the favourite to get to the quarterfinals. And then you go Devin Peterson as well. Out of those 4 players on current form, I think you back him to get to the quarterfinals as well. But I'm going to go with the other player that I haven't mentioned there out of those 3. I'm going to go with Jose to go on a deep run, and he's not made a last 16 on the TV yet, but I think this could be his week. I've tipped him to win that first game against Jeffrey Desvan. Then it's Johnny Clayton or Max Hopp. Johnny Clayton's come back into a bit of form. Max Hopp starting to get there a little bit, but again, I think he'll go into that one as the favourite if he gets through. And then a quarterfinal, you've either got one of the Smiths, Michael Smith or Ross Smith, Danny Noppert or Dirk van Dijvenbode. Again, once you get to that stage of the tournament, and this is what I quite like about this week, okay, it's going to be a little bit different with it being the 16 games in one session, but the way they've worked it as well, you've got Saturday night, just the one session, quarterfinals, top billing, and then you go into the Sunday, you've got that break, and then you go to the Sunday night, the semi-finals and the finals. So it kind of gives the quarterfinals a little bit more importance than usual. Usually it's on the Sunday afternoon, and it's kind of an afterthought, really. Okay, yeah, we'll get these games out of the way, and then it's all down to later on in the day, but it's one session for that day, all about the quarterfinals on that Saturday. So I'm liking how they're running it, and I think this is going to be the week for Jose to go on a deep run. So out of those 4 seeds, I'm going to go with him.
A lot of disagreement this week. I think there's 2 different questions that could be asked here. If the question was who would I be most surprised to find out didn't make the quarterfinals, I think the answer has to be Devin Peterson, because he has to be the heavy favorite against Andy Hamilton. And on current form, he would have to be the heavy favorite against either his former stablemate, Rob Cross, or against Martin Klärmacher, which means he's the one of the top 4 seeds who would be, I think, the heaviest favorite, or should be the heaviest favorite, to reach the quarterfinals. But that's not what the question is here. It's who do I think's most likely to go furthest? And I'm actually going to have to say Gerwin Price. Even with that quarter, the way he's playing right now and the consistency he's playing at right now, he should be the player who's most likely to win this title, even with that tough quarter, even with a potential second round against Peter Wright, who's skipped the last few events, or Gabriel Clemens, who there's no guarantee Peter Wright will get past, even with one of Mensur Suljovic, Daryl Gurney, Christopher Teisker, or Steve West potentially waiting in the quarterfinal. I still think Gerwin Price right now is playing the best of anyone in this field and is the most likely to lift the title. And therefore, he is, of the top 4, I'm going to have to say the one most likely to go the furthest.